Reddit, I want to hear your horrifying Furby stories.
I had one as a kid. Got tired of it after a few weeks after playing with it a lot, and put it away on the top shelf of my closet. A few months later, I was laying in bed after playing too much Super Mario, and trying to fall asleep, when I heard the most horrible, terrifying sound of my life. That fucking thing was asking me to feed it or tickle it or something, but it sounded like a demon. I guess the batteries were not doing so well. I personally figured they would be dead after so long. Once I realized what was going on, I took it off the shelf and ripped the back open and disposed of the batteries I thought were dead. It was one of my scariest childhood memories.
Not horrifying in the conventional sense, but a really bad memory for me. OMG, I absolutely hate Furbies. I had one when I was younger, but I rarely played with it. It just sat on my basement shelf collecting dust. One night I was dreaming that my Furby was bawling hysterically. When I asked it what was wrong, I woke up. It was probably 2 to 3 in the morning, and I noticed that all of the lights in the house were on. And I could still hear the crying. My mom was in her room, crying while packing a suitcase. She had just received a phone call that her mother, who lived in Italy, had passed away. That's all I think about every time I see a Furby.
I used to sing Brahms' lullaby to my dog Rascal, as it calmed him down while we crate trained him. My Furby was off, sitting on one of my bookshelves. One night, I finished getting the dog into the crate, sang to him, petted him until he was settled, and reached up to switch off the light. As the room went dark and I stood to climb in my bed, the Furby's eyes slowly opened. It sang. La la la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, the beginning of Brahms' lullaby. Its eyes closed and I stared, frozen. The next few seconds were a blur. The dog launched into hysterics. I dove for the crate and fumbled with the latch, grabbed Rascal by the collar, and we ran to my parents' room, me screaming, Rascal growling and barking. By the time my parents had been awakened and had staggered into my room, the Furby was in full possession mode. Way-lo-o-o. Way-lo-o-o, it cried, ears flapping up and down, eyes blinking, mouth opening and closing, making snapping noises each time it shut. Ah! Ah, it beckoned. Dad grabbed the horrible thing off the shelf and heaved it over the balcony. It fell and landed with an excruciating crunch. Way-oh, it howled from below. Then it began to whir. A high-pitched, mechanical, grinding whir. As it spasmed and twitched, Mom held me tight, and Dad and Rascal headed down the stairs. Rascal seized it, worrying it, trying to break its non-existent spine, and Dad stormed into the garage, returning with a hammer. Between the two of them, they destroyed that Furby, plastic and faux fur scattered across the living room. Horrible, horrible.
To begin, I never had a Furby. Shit was stupid. But my friend had one. She liked it and all, played with it for a few weeks, then she went to the lake with her family. She accidentally drops it in the lake. They recover it, but the electrical bits are dead. She takes it home, throws it in the closet. Forgets about it. Life goes on. Fast forward about 2 months or so, I come over to hang out. Suddenly, I ask, "Hey, what happened to your Furby?" She goes into the story, then ends it with, "But I don't really miss it." Like clockwork, we hear "Furby don't need you anymore, come from the closet." Bricks were shat.
My 2001 girlfriend's brother had a Furby that talked every now and then, as they were supposed to do. One night he's trying to make it talk, and for about an hour it wouldn't. Then it just started talking and wouldn't shut up. It was getting really annoying and went on for about 30 minutes until he finally yelled at it, "Shut up," and the Furby's response without missing a single freaking beat was no. Scared the crap out of us, and we busted that little sucker right then. Furbies should burn in the eternal fires of hell.
When I was 10, there was nothing I wanted more than a Furby for my birthday. I finally got one, inside 7 boxes, each smaller than the last. I freaking loved that thing. I had it for about a week and was playing with it in the living room one day. Now, my mom had a bird. A ring-necked dove. Nobody liked the bird because it was annoying and laughed at you when you stubbed your toe. This bird was also a humper. He humped ornaments off the shelves and pictures off the wall. He tried to hump people's heads and tried to hump my infant nephew's toys. But I digress. So I was playing with my Furby in the living room trying to teach the thing to talk when my mother lets the bird out of his cage for some exercise. The bird stops humping the landscape picture on the wall and locks eyes on my Furby. And then he dived for it. Not wanting to have my head humped, I ran, leaving my poor Furby on the floor. The bird found the Furby and went to town. I ran to get my brother to save it, but it was too late. By the time we got there, the bird was on a shelf and my Furby was left alone. My brother went to pick up the Furby and held me back. He called for my mother. Mother came with paper towels, wiped the Furby off, apologized, told me never to touch it again, and stuck it in the birdcage for later use. TLDR, my mother's ringneck dove jizzed on my Furby and made it his wife.
When I was about 6, I got a Furby for my birthday. In my infant school, we were allowed to bring a few birthdays presents into assembly to show everyone when they called us up onto the stage to say happy birthday. I was sitting in the front row waiting to be called up when my Furby started talking. A teacher called me out and gave me a blanket to put on top of it to make it go to sleep, or whatever it did when it was dark. As I was walking back to my seat in the assembly, I tripped on the blanket in front of 1,000 plus kids and cried my eyes out. It was horrible. Sad face. I blamed the Furby for ruining my birthday by getting laughed at and believed it somehow made me fall over. I think I put it in a cupboard and left it there.
My parents kept buying me them, and I was terrified of them, but I didn't want to hurt my parents' feelings. So I would put them in my bottom dresser drawer and leave them there. One night one of them started making its creepy, terrifying squawking noise which triggered the other ones. I got my older brother and he smashed them with a bat.
I had one and something happened to it. It just started rocking back and forth, blinking with its beak opening and shutting. No sound was made though. When the batteries finally died, I was frozen with its eyes looking up and its lids slightly closed. It was pretty freaky. Then I hid it in the basement at my parents' house. I think it's still there.
When I was in middle school, I was friends with this really spoiled prissy girl who had 12 Furbies all around her room. She never turned them off. One night I slept over at her house. All through the night, the Furbies would occasionally start talking in response to random noises. Once one Furby started, the rest would all go off. My night was filled with a cacophony of tiny furry robots talking to each other while my friends slept obliviously. Truly the stuff of nightmares.